Hunt.
I'm Wrendon Hunt. And you're in the hunt.
Well, this is our 20th episode. It has been a joy and a pleasure to do this, to begin this ride. And I tell you what, we got here pretty fast. We're building some good momentum and want to keep it up. And so in commemoration of our 20th episode, we want to talk about brotherly love and what brotherly love means and how it should be extended throughout this entire country and how we can get back to what the premises of brotherly love really are and what they mean to us. And this past week, a couple of days ago, the New York Islanders had a hockey game, and there was a singer that started singing the national anthem as you do traditionally before sporting events in this country. Now, as you can probably imagine, over the course of the past few years, all the contention and the back and forth over the national anthem and kneeling during the national anthem and do you sing it and do you allow it, and Mark Cuban not doing it, then the NBA making them do it, and it just all this stuff that was just going around our national anthem, and us even talking about what the national anthem kind of means to us and why we choose to stand, etc. This woman starts singing the national anthem, and she stopped singing because it was getting so loud, and everyone in the arena was so loud that she just put the mic out and just let the national anthem resonate throughout the entire arena. And it literally brought me to tears when I was watching it. And it gave me a lot of hope. And that's the kind of brotherly love that we're talking about. In spite of all the strife, in spite of COVID, in spite of all the racial injustice, in spite of all that we've endured over the course of the past few years in this country, to hear thousands upon thousands of Americans singing our national anthem with pride to the point to where the singer stopped singing it and let the crowd take it, brought tears to my eyes and gave me a sense as to why we are doing this right now, literally as brothers, sharing brotherly love, and how can we continue to get our message out for episodes to come.
And I can say that was truly the only time that I've ever seen a singer put a mic out and let everybody else sing that I was happy about.
Yeah.
You know, normally you're at a concert.
You're like, do your job.
You're at a concert and they're like,
it's not my job.
All right, you sing it for me.
Like, no,
No,
ma'am.
I paid to hear
no, sir.
You sing
I
it.
paid to hear you sing.
No, I'm not singing with you. I paid to hear
and
you
sing. And they only want us to sing when they're catching their breath.
They're tired.
Yeah. So they run around the stage.
Yeah.
And
you know the words?
You know the words?
Yeah, and so do you.
So sing it.
And I tell you, it's crazy because that moment with the Islanders, I think, is a real example of what we hope to do.
Yeah. Or what we hope to get to.
Yeah, and I think
get past all this.
I think what we're capable of, because the whole purpose of this podcast now, as we sit here and we're 20 deep now.
Yeah.
You know, Andrew Jackson deep, if you will.
There you go. Or Harry Tubman.
Ah, good point.
I mean, we'll see.
Good point.
We'll see what happens.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. It was really funny. So, let me give you some of them Tubman. Get some of them Tubmans. It's very funny. It was funny.
So, we're 20 deep, and I think that the Islanders example is something that we would hope that we're capable of and we're inspiring.
Yeah.
New conversations, different conversations,
nuanced conversations,
hearing things from a different perspective, hearing honesty and truth in a world where sometimes honesty and truth are not sought after. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy with where we've gotten early in this journey. Mm-hmm. You know, I think in many ways we've stayed true to what we set out to do and the conversations that we've set out to have. And it's been a pleasure to start that and really excited about where the journey goes and in the hunt.
Yeah. And so I also think that what we try to convey and what we hope you, the listener, are really kind of embodying is the idea of being able to have healthy conversations. You may not agree. You may not necessarily like it. But what we want to try to do is at least have enough healthy dialogue to know that we're coming from a place of love We're coming from a place of trying to make things better. We're not trying to light people on fire. We're not trying to blow people up. We're just trying to add a different perspective that you wouldn't get or you wouldn't see from someone else. And it literally comes from a place of love. And it comes from a place of trying to find ways to heal our country and make it a better place for the future. That's what we are trying to do here every single week. Yeah. I think last week you talked about, you really touched me in a very strong way. And we were just talking about like you got sick of seeing. We just got sick of seeing like all the vitriol and no nuance.
Plain
pants. And it's just plain pants. People wearing socks. We got sick of all this normal stuff that we were doing. People wearing deodorant. Whatever the case might be. And how can we start a platform and start a conversation, given our background, to start to heal a lot of the things that we are seeing, but to also make sure that people see us positioning ourselves from a place of just respect and integrity and not just vitriol and hatred.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we've put ourselves in just such a really interesting situation because for all the listeners who have supported us, who continue to subscribe, who continue to listen, listen when we release, and sometimes when we have the releases, I'll have conversations with some of the listeners on there. Thank you for all of that support, because I tell you what's very clear to see at times. One of the things that's important to us, and we hope that this comes out in our conversations, is the level of respect that we do have for people. Mm-hmm. And not just people that agree with us and believe in what we're saying, but also for people who have opposing opinions. And if those opinions are rooted in fact, I mean, very happy to hear opposing opinions and what that really looks like. Because another thing that we see, and this is what the beauty of posting things live and posting things on YouTube and other platforms, is we can tell when people just don't respect us at all. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of that, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's easy to, until you go through that process of having people just make ad hominem attacks about everything. Like, I mean, geez, like the way you look, the way you talk, the diet, like everything, right? You'll see it all on there. It makes you really have an appreciation for the mission and staying focused and staying on the mission. Because I'll tell you what, I'll take all that shrapnel all day long if I believe
one person
that the conversations that we have can help heal what I feel is an ailing nation right now, mm-hmm. can help heal what I feel is an ailing political process where we are not getting our best who are stepping onto the field because we've caused so much contention that there's a question as to why would you even do that? Mm-hmm. When you first started running for office, there's a question oftentimes like, well, why does he want to do that? He has so much. That was a crazy. He has so much talent. Why would he do that? And it was crazy because like he has so much talent that he can be a transformational leader and help our country. Why wouldn't he go work on Wall Street? Like that's a crazy thought. Mm-hmm. That's a dismissive thought, and it's something that we need to get past as a country, so that we can attract our best and brightest talent to be here and fight this war too.
Because this stuff matters, Wrendon.
Yeah.
Like these laws, all laws matter.
Yeah.
Like, who's in office matters.
Yeah.
And I always find people constantly just want to complain about how bad it is. Everybody, this is so bad. It's so contentious. Why would you want to do that? I don't want to do that. And it's always the case of like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Well, who's going to do it? Everybody is so quick to not do it. It's like us going to West Point. I don't want to send my kid in harm's way. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go to. I don't want my kid to die. I don't want. Well,
who's going to do it?
Well, who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it? And I'll give
somebody has to do it. So you could have your Frappuccino latte at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like somebody has to pay for that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean money.
In blood.
So be very careful with being so
quick to. I'm going to get my scalps.
I want my scalps.
Aldo Reigns. I'm going to get my scalps.
Somebody's got to pay for this.
Yeah.
And so I think you and I kind of have a view of the world of you have to ignore a lot of the noise. You have to ignore a lot of the vitriol. You have to ignore the lost friendships. Yeah. I've realized they weren't my friends anyway. which is a good thing. I think this has been a very therapeutic, cathartic, cleansing thing that we've done, because you find out who does support you, even if they may not agree with you, but they still love you because they respect you.
Yeah.
As we respect many people that we disagree with.
Yeah.
Many people. We aren't cancel people. We aren't that sensitive.
No, sensitive.
We are not.
No.
And what I hope that we can convey is that you can listen to what we're saying, at least understand where we're coming from. You may not agree with it, but you can say, okay. And that passed the smell test for me.
And it's important to hear another perspective. One of the things that we've talked a lot about is the idea of black people in particular not being monolithic.
Yeah, we just talked about that. Yeah.
And this idea where I can tell you a bad situation is when all the black people are in one party and there's no black people in the other party. And then the other party is making decisions that are going to affect all of those black people, and there's no representation or perspective that's had in that party.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is that it's better off to not have a black person that's a Republican in the room. We're better off that way.
That is crazy.
That's nuts. We have a two-party system, and you're saying we don't want any black people in the other room and to influence anything.
And it's pretty much 50-50 in this country, right?
Oh, yeah.
You look at it's why elections keep flipping back and forth, and Congress keeps flipping back and forth, and the Senate keeps flipping back and forth. Yeah. It's about 50-50 in this country. So I would even say, as black Americans, are we really comfortable with not being part of half of the conversations that affect the leadership in our country?
If your answer to that is yes, you're wrong.
Flat out.
Sorry. I'm sorry. And we aren't big on just saying you're wrong. If the answer is you don't want any kind of representation that half the population decides how this country is going to go, and you don't want anybody in that room that has black skin, that has lived their lives from a black perspective, you don't want anybody in the room because you don't agree with the politics of it, you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's on you. And we are not monolithic. We need people of all walks of life a part of both parties.
Yes. Yes. And as a part of the conversations and adding diversity of perspective in those places.
Exactly.
Because both are powerful.
Yes.
Both are powerful. And that's the system that we're in.
Yes.
And it's important that we have those perspectives. This is part of these conversations that we continuously have, is we have what we feel and many others feel is a valuable perspective, because we have not allowed ourselves to be put in a box from a beliefs perspective. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that everything we believe is right or wrong. It's not an issue of whether things that we believe are right or wrong. It's we have decided to stand for certain ideals. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that we'll agree every time with the red team or the blue team, which is really ridiculous to say. I mean, we sound like Power Rangers. It's ridiculous.
No person agrees 100% with everybody in a party.
Yeah.
That expectation is just flat out unrealistic. Yes, you have to choose sides, and yes, you have to think, well, which issues are most important to me? Well, this is who I'm going to tie my allegiance to. That's why we have a two-party system. So I understand why, but no single person agrees with everything of the party. If you do,
you're not thinking, or they're not.
You're not thinking. You're not a part of the problem.
Yeah.
If you're in a room that everybody agrees, then nobody's thinking.
I was telling you this story earlier today. My barber Kamal, who is a great guy and a great barber, he's the reason why I look so fresh and so clean on every single one of these episodes.
So fresh and so clean.
Yeah. Kamal said something to me a couple of weeks ago, and he had posted it on Instagram. And he was talking about the type of hair. Kamal's a black barber. He's from New York, moved down to Houston when he was younger. And he was talking about having a diverse barbershop, because that was always his vision. And that's how it is in the barbershop. I mean, he has mostly black barbers, but Hispanic barbers, white barbers. Like it's really cool to see the collection of people that he's brought together. And he had made a comment about, if you don't cut all kinds of hair, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so profound coming from a barber's perspective.
It is.
Like, if you don't have a place of work where people of all different races and creeds can come in and come together, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most profound things that I've heard in quite some time, because it's idea of figure out how to affect change where you are. You don't have to seek out and find some other place to affect change.
You can do it right here.
The barber doesn't have to say, "Oh, when I go to church, then I'll be able to affect change."
Or
when I go
right here.
No, man. Like, he has put that mentality in his own barbershop. He affects change where he is.
So speaking of barbers, like I love my barbershop too.
Yeah.
And again, I go to a black barbershop. I'm black.
Okay. But you're a Republican.
So that means I'm not black?
According to the Congressional Black
Caucus,
no. According to the Congressional Black and Democratic Caucus,
according to Joe Bill Biden, apparently not.
No, you're not.
I guess
No.
not, right?
Yeah.
Go figure. I love going in there. It is because it's a perspective, particularly me being around predominantly white people in the party. It's a perspective to walk.
The Republican Party is predominantly white.
They can change that whenever they want to if they want to identify as something else.
And the reason I say that tongue in cheek is because we have these conversations all the time, and once again, we try to have as many open conversations as we can. And people will ask me all the time questions as if I can't identify the situation that I'm in.
Yes. It's always isn't that funny?
There's not a lot of diversity in the Republican Party.
You don't say.
Whoa. And in other words, the sky is blue. That's the opportunity. There's an opportunity to have broader and more diverse conversations, not run away from the opportunity to make it better.
Exactly.
But anyways, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, exactly.
Going into your barbershop.
No, you're right. And I love it because there's always different perspectives.
My barbershop's probably better than yours. Let's just start a rivalry here.
My bald face looking pretty good if you ask me, man. I don't
Mine is
know.
3 days old. So you,
oh, here we go.
3-day-old fade.
If you was so good, your 3-day-old fade would be as good as my 1-day-old fade. But I get to hear perspectives and get to hear people from different backgrounds, and it's always such an interesting banter. What I love the most about it is this: I walk in there, they know I'm a Republican, they know I've run for office, and I get to sit down. And I walk in, they fire away, and I love it. Yeah, I love it because they're following what's going on. They're seeing what's going on. You know what a question I got the other day by one of the guys in there. By the way, I love these dudes. By the way, they are the best.
I know the question you got. You need a razor line?
C.
Yes.
Is there any other kind? That's really what I would say. He said he walked in.
Should I just line you with the clippers? Do you want to get a tip?
Do you want to see me in 2 weeks? I go somewhere else. You can find a razor somewhere here in Houston. I walked in. He asked me. He goes, so I see this Asian hate stuff that popped up here in the last couple of weeks, and the Asian bill got passed a couple weeks ago. What about our bill? He goes, Democrats, they have the House, they got the Senate, and they got the presidency. And they can't get this passed for us? We can't get a crime bill passed after all we've seen this past year? But they could be an anti-Asian hate bill already? Nah, I have nothing to say to this. I said, that's a good point. Let's talk about that. These are kind of perspectives that you see that I would have never gotten, but you're getting it from the barbershop. And so for those people who don't know, the barbershop is literally, it's literally just it's a haven.
Yeah.
It's a haven. It's a place to go where you're gonna get a little loud. You might hear a bad word every now and again, but it's brute honesty.
Yeah.
It's brute honesty. There are no masks. They don't pull punches. You got a question?
Unless there's COVID, then there's masks. Go ahead.
Not getting into that.
Just saying.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Not there's anything wrong with it.
Wait. It's okay. I'm not saying that. I just think if we're wearing masks.
Some of my best friends wear masks.
It's fine. It's fine. Not my best friends. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's a joke. Hey, it's a joke.
We'll identify as somebody who wears a mask.
I do. So. Where's your mask? I identify as somebody right now who's wearing a mask. In my soul, I'm wearing a mask, so that counts, right? But literally, it's just brute honesty, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's like no other place on the planet. The barbershop is like no other place on the planet.
Yeah.
And what I've also realized is that regardless of political party and affiliation, if there's respect, there's just respect. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
And you can imagine, over the course of the past couple of years, I've had to answer some questions that I probably didn't want to, but they asked them, by the way, without question, and I always give them an honest answer.
Yeah.
I think we need places like that.
We really do.
And what I hope that our listeners get is that they can view this.
That's the way that Congress used to be, apparently.
Apparently. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. That's the way it used to be.
The way it used to be.
Yeah.
I hope people can view our show as a barbershop. We're not going to pull any punches. We're going to shoot you straight. We're going to answer tough questions. We're going to tackle difficult issues.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you the kind of perspective that given our lives, given what we've seen, and given our education, we've put something together that you may not agree with, but you can at least comprehend and understand.
Absolutely. And we've listened from the standpoint of the feedback of what people want to hear more of. And it's funny, being 20 episodes in, we intend to continue to listen to the pulse and feedback of what people want to hear more of, and the questions that they have and the perspectives that they would like to hear. And that's important to us, because if we're not willing to have a voice, we're not willing to stand up and talk about these things, then that perspective will be lost.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And I wouldn't just say that about people who agree with us and people who are like us and have our backgrounds. I say that for anybody. Yeah. Like, if you want to have your voice heard, like, we're in a place where we have megaphones in this day and age that could have never been fathomed a century ago. Mm-hmm. A century ago, 10 years ago, a decade ago.
10 years ago, yes.
Right? And so with that, rather than prodding at people and poking at them and taking the time that it takes to demean them when they use their megaphone, get yours out too.
And make sure it's a good megaphone. I think there's a lot of megaphones out there of people just spewing, spewing hate, or just not necessarily taking a rational, understandable approach to a lot of things.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty clear how we lean. Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But I always hearken back to the idea of us talking about things with layers, with complexity, and with depth.
Yeah.
These aren't just Republican talking points.
Yeah.
Here's the thought process behind how we got here.
Yeah.
And by the way, if something comes up in the party that we don't agree with, I'd be more than happy to talk about that as well.
I'll call it out. Yeah.
I'm not anti that.
I'll call it out.
I'm not anti that. I don't mind talking about that. I think somebody reached out to me and goes, well, you only talk down on Joe Biden, and you only we're talking about topical issues right now that are currently in the news right now.
Yeah.
This is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, we just started this podcast when the Democrat Party had the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Yes.
So that's
a lot of relevant issues that are happening.
So that's why we're taking these stances.
Yeah. And we are not afraid to say things that have been done in a way that we feel are correct and appropriate, as well as things that we feel are being done in a substandard way.
That's all.
And when you say, where we lean, were you saying lean back, lean back,
come on,
lean back,
come on,
lean back.
That's right. My Bidens don't dance.
Ooh. I would say too soon, but that one doesn't have a statute of limitations.
By the way, I thought that was quick. I was so proud of myself.
That one doesn't have it. That was really funny. That one doesn't have a statute of limitations.
I said my hunters don't dance with his full of our hands.
Do the rock away.
Come on, Aline. Come on, Aline.
Well,
you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. This is my favorite stories of all time. I'm in the airport. This is many years ago. I'm in Atlanta. I'm at the Chili's in the Atlanta airport. I'm having the salad. As shocking, I'm eating a salad.
I was about to say, because if you went to Chili's and got anything else after that, you were in the Chili's in Atlanta bathroom.
They don't call it Chili's for nothing. Right? So sit down. I have my headphones in. I'm by myself. I'm in Atlanta airport for a layover. And I look over, and in walks Terror Squad.
No.
In walks Fat Joe and his posse. Okay, and they go sit in the back of the table. And this is when that song was like,
wow.
This is when that song was everything. And I'm like, yo, Fat Joe. That's Fat Joe. And by the way, he's rolling like 30 deep. This is why these guys don't have any money. Because dude, you really don't need like one or two other people, or like your family.
It's also weird when you have a name where the moniker in front is insulting. So when you see him, are you just like, "Hey, slightly overweight Joe"?
Oh, no, he owns that.
Yeah.
He owns that. It's
Takes
like
ownership.
Big Punt. This is how they advertise. I'm Fat Joe. He's proud of this, dude. No.
So he was going to Chili's and ordering a lot of food.
He was ordering a lot of food.
He was not having the salad. I think
He's lost some weight, by the way. He lost a lot of weight. But back then,
false advertising. I don't like it. I don't like that.
You can't go by Skinny Joe. It's fat.
You're
You're
fat. Yeah, keep eating Fat Joe.
Daddy call him Clay. I call him Clay. I don't call him Clay.
Keep eating Fat Joe.
Yeah. So he's in the back, and this is one of the coolest moments I've ever seen. So a group of women walk in, and they get seated, and they are literally like 2 tables away from Fat Joe. And one of the women looks up, and she loses her mind. Okay, Fat Joe! He's just sitting there, kind of waiting, trying to be cool. And she goes, "Yeah, that's right. Don't dance. We just pull up our pants and do the rock away." Fat Joe stands up and goes, "Lean back. Come on."
Did he really?
Yes. He stood up and did the whole dance, took a picture with her, and I was like,
"That's awesome."
I gained a lot of respect for Fat Joe.
That's awesome.
Because he has to deal with this all the time.
All the time.
All he wants to do is sit there and eat his whatever he was getting at Chili's in the airport. And literally, he was so cool about it.
Yeah, it's like that quote: "The only thing worse than having a hit song is having a hit song." Right.
Yeah.
And I love stuff like that. Right. And I love stuff like that because this is something that we touch on quite a bit, and this is even what we aspire to do. It's the shadow you cast on culture as a whole. Mm-hmm. This guy recognizes the shadow that he casts on people, and that lady does that, and he realizes that he has a moment to really, really, really make her day, make her year, make her month. Hell, she's probably still telling that story.
He did. I'm telling the story.
That reminds me.
Think about it. I'm telling this story right now.
Yeah.
This happened.
And you had to admit that you went to Chili's.
In Atlanta.
That reminds me of a story about George W. Bush.
Uh-huh.
And the White House Fellows class a couple years ahead of us, they had a very candid sit-down conversation with George W. Bush. And they asked him, what is the best part about being president? Which is a really profound question to ask the leader of the free world. Do you know what he said? This is, given the man who he is, this is not going to be surprising to you. He said, sometimes when we're riding around in the Beast, which is the big armored car, it's like sometimes you'll be rolling around and you'll see a kid that has a lemonade stand. It's like, and the best part about being president of the United States is I can pull my motorcade up to that lemonade stand.
Are you serious? He said this?
I can walk out.
He said this?
And I can buy a cup of lemonade from that person, from that kid, and they'll remember that for the rest of their lives.
That might be one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yeah. So understanding the shadow that you cast on people, and even for us, so much of the feedback that we've gotten, the words that we've gotten from people from the standpoint of, hey, it made my day to hear this story, or it made my day to like people that we reference who have touched our lives. Yeah, like really understanding the shadow that we have the potential of casting.
I'll give you another one. I'll give you another. So we're talking about celebrities. I'll give you another one. This is really cool. This is really cool with me. So a good buddy of ours, Jeremy, and one of my best friends, obviously. I was in grad school, and he was kind of on this basketball tour thing for a little while. He wanted to go to basketball stadiums all over the country. And I was in grad school. He calls me up. He's like, "Hey, you want to go to Toronto to go see the Rockets versus the Raptors?" And I said,
yes.
There's
only one answer for that.
There's only one answer to that.
Yes.
And I said, actually, Stone Cold, can I get a hell yeah?
Can I get a hell yeah?
Can I get a hell yeah?
Because Stone Cold said so.
I'm just cracking your head.
Can I get a hell
Absolutely, can I go? And so we go. Now, for those people who don't know, Drake sits courtside at almost every home Toronto's game, and he has his own spot right next to the team because this it's Drizzy City. That's basically what it's called. It's Drake City. Yeah. And he's also a huge Rockets fan. He's also a huge James Harden fan. He is also a huge Houston fan. Yeah. I listen to a lot of Drake. He raps about Houston, talks about Houston all the time.
Katy, Texas?
It's crazy.
Throws out Katy.
Throws out Katy, throws out Houston.
Shout out to the Burbs.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. What did he say? He said, Houston's my second home, just like I'm James Harden. I mean, he loves Houston. So you can imagine he's conflicted at a game. This is back when Harden played for the Rockets. He's conflicted to be at a game because he loves Toronto, but his second city is there.
He recognizes that Houston is the greatest city in the United States.
He knows it.
Houston is...
He and 50. That's why they're here.
Houston is the best player on the best team.
All the time. All day, every day.
Right. It's the best city.
Welcome to Houston.
In the best country.
Welcome to Houston. H-Town, baby.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Scrooston.
So, there you go. Oh, we'll get on that all day. So, Jeremy and I go to the game, and we got some pretty good tickets. And literally, like, right across the court.
Sweat just going on you from players.
Literally, right across. So, literally, like, across the court.
You'd smell the musk.
You could see Drake. Okay? You could see Drake. So we're sitting courtside. Jeremy has on a Rockets jersey or something. I have on like a Houston hat. And we're losing, and then at the end, and about midway through the fourth quarter, James Harden goes off. Yeah. He gets into one of his Rain Man basketball. He just like counting toothpicks. Okay. I mean he just loses it. Okay. And as he's losing it,
laughing in the bathtub,
we're sitting there courtside. We're losing it as they're losing it. Okay, like we're losing. James Harden. So you could hear us yelling, and the entire stadium is silent. Okay, and Drake is just sitting there with his head down, like, I mean, we had this game, but Harden is doing what Harden used to do for us.
Yeah.
Okay. And at one point, Harden hits a three, ices the game, and the game is over. We jump up, Jeremy and I give each other high fives. We're loud and obnoxious. I may or may not have had a few cocktails by this time.
It could have been a part of the equation.
May or may have had a few cocktails by this time. And we look over at Drake. Drake looks over at us. He does the Drake nod. Gives us a little clap and a little salute. I look at Jeremy, I'm like, you just see Drake.
He knows it. He knows it. You turn to a wrestling announcer.
I feel like Stephen A. Did you just see Drake? Did you see him? He did you see Drake? He gave us the nod.
The nod.
He gave us the nod.
The nod.
It was no. I'm telling the story, and Brian, I'm not gassing you up. This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then literally after the where he like looked at us, pointed up, and then he pointed at us and like walked out. Right. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'll never forget it is because Drake, it's just one of those things to where he took even a second to just acknowledge that I like the Rockets too.
Yeah.
My team lost, but congratulations on your team's win.
Yeah.
It was so neat.
It's cool.
It's such and so small.
It's the little things in life.
Yeah.
It's the little things that can completely add up. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really
so
cool.
I think the moral of the story
it's always better when we win too.
Way better.
Yeah.
It's way better than winning when you're at a away game.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Yeah, it's
just way better.
Yeah, it is. Otherwise, you're just the obnoxious fan.
So I think the whole point is that be the person that literally, no matter what, take that little extra time. It might seem annoying. It might seem a lot.
Yeah.
But just like take the time.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how that might impact somebody's life later on.
Oh man, the butterfly effect is huge.
Always.
I mean, I know I remember, people over the course of my life who have said and done things that seemed very inconsequential or small to them that I will never forget.
Yeah.
That I will never forget.
Drake has no idea that he did that.
Yeah.
But I never.
And it didn't cost anything for him to be kind.
No.
I remember there was a friend of mine on my first ship, the USS Preble, and when I had my epic breakup that I talked about in another episode.
Yeah.
We'll call that breakup November Rain.
Loser.
Yeah, loser. When I had
go that way.
loser. Back to Fat Joe. Good job.
See,
yeah.
I did.
Big pun via Fat Joe.
Big pun via Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Go that way.
You can catch me in the Terrorvan 150. Yeah, such a good song. It is so hard. I'm trying to live.
Be like pun.
It is so hard. I just lost 100 pounds. I'm trying to live. Get your own, you heard? Get your oh yeah, so go that way, loser. It was after that breakup when I got dumped, and there was an officer on my ship. Her name is Miley Ewan, and it was really weird because I didn't really. I mean, I knew her on the ship and stuff, but I didn't really have a relationship with her or anything from the perspective. We didn't talk a lot or anything. And I was walking down the pier, and I was in a pretty bad place, and she just walked up to me and had a conversation. Was like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be all right."
Yeah.
And I like that little thing at that moment. Then I got back to my stateroom. My buddy Sean Richard, we call him Richard. It's really Richard. And we called him Shipmate Sean because he was just the quintessential naval officer. He was just a great shipmate. And I remember getting back to the room, and he's like, "Yeah, man, it's gonna be okay." And he invited me to have dinner with he and his wife Des, and we hung out. And
then when you left, they were like, "What a loser! That guy sucks."
We should have him come over to dinner so we can laugh at him.
I know, right? Dude, get over it.
Dinner for schmucks. Yeah, but I mean, people have done. You just never know what that extra call, that extra text, that extra pat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that's going to mean to people more broadly.
Yeah.
I was in a restaurant, and this was pre-COVID, so it wasn't as weird. I was at a Mexican restaurant with my in-laws and my wife and family, and there was a lady who was a couple of seats over from us, and she was talking to her friend, and this lady was just bawling. Right, so clearly something was going on in her life. I don't know what it was, but something was going on in her life, right? And I walked to the bathroom, and I had walked by her, and I walked back a second time, and I just walked over to her, and I just gave her a hug. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I feel like you need this. Clearly things are going on in your life, but hey, hang in there.
Hang in there. I'm giving you a hug. I got on tight pants.
It's
going to be okay. Imagine how I feel. I got to squeeze into these things every day.
You think your day is hard? I got to figure out how to get these pants off.
Without scissors.
And it was one of those things where I'll never forget because my kids watched me as I walked over, and my in-laws said, "Did you know that lady?" I was like, "No, I don't know her." Yeah. And my son always has a way of asking, and you've heard me say this before. He'll ask, because I say brother a lot, the Southern Baptist that comes out of me.
Hey, brother.
I'll say, "Is that your brother? Is that your sister?" And I had walked back, and he said, "Do you know her?" I was like, "No, I don't know her." He's like, "Well, who is she?" I said, "That's my sister." It's like, what does that mean? Like, we have an opportunity to make people's lives better. We have an opportunity to connect more broadly.
Was Wright like, well, you're like, that's my sister, and
As a
Wright was
community.
like, but she's not black, and you were like, but she identifies as such.
I never said she wasn't black.
I knew she was. You said sister, not sister.
Sister, but she identifies. It's like a Rachel Dolezal type of person.
She's the best.
Really sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's put some product in her hair. You weren't really sure.
You mean Leslie Watkins?
That's my sister-in-law.
AKA Rachel Dolezal.
Who's 49% black according to Ancestry.com.
49. That's generous. It's 47.
It was 47.
Oh yeah, because it's Leslie 47%.
Oh, in your phone.
Watkins in my phone. So I know exactly what it
I know
is.
exactly what it is.
Gotcha, Lala. This is gonna be seen by thousands. You can't get me back.
Yes. Gotcha. Tag, you're it. So yeah, it's one of those things where you just do have an opportunity to touch people's lives and to share who you are and share your story. And I think if we've seen anything during COVID times, we've seen that there are going to be repercussions for the lack of connectivity that we've had as a people.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can play at least some part in helping to make people feel more connected.
Yeah.
To help us have a stronger identity as a country, really.
And I'm gonna wrap it up with this, because it's something that I would have never expected.
Bacon?
From one of the from yeah, right.
If you wrap anything in bacon, it's good.
From one of the more polarizing figures in American political history, Donald John Trump. Mm-hmm. And this is a story that I should never forget, because I don't think a lot of people would ever assume that this would happen, but it happened to me. So I'm going to tell you the story.
Yeah.
After I won the primary, 3 or 4 days later, I got a call. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was a D.C. number. So every time I see a D.C. number pop up on my phone, I always answer it.
Yeah.
I answer the phone, and
it's woman... Funny, I never answer it, because then I wonder what my taxes are going to...
Well, I know exactly. Yeah. Woman answers the phone, and goes, "This is Wesley Hunt." I said, "This is Wesley speaking." He goes, "Please hold for this is the White House, blah, blah, blah. Please hold for the president." I said, "Excuse me?" Because I didn't expect this call. I had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
He goes, "Please hold for the president." I said, "The president?" Yes. Oh, well, I'm sorry. President Trump is waiting to speak to you on the other line. Do you have time?
Tell him to get me back in 45.
Right. So I'm sitting here. I'm like, the president of the United States is calling me right now. Yeah. By the way, I don't care how you feel about the president of the United States is calling my cell phone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Where did you get this number?
I know. Right. It's like Liam Neeson. I have a special set of skills. I'm going to find you.
Right. Do you have time to talk to her? Yeah, I can talk to the president, but where did y'all get this number from?
I didn't get this. This is the listed phone number. And so I'm sitting there pacing around, because I'm sitting there with my robe on. I feel like if I'm going to talk to the president of the United States,
I got to put a suit on.
I got to put a tie on.
If nobody sees
at least put some socks on. Even if nobody's there, I got to put on a tie or something. So he gets on the phone. He's like, "Congratulations. How are you doing on your win?" "Congratulations, Wesley." That's kind of like a Bill Clinton.
Yeah, whoa, go ahead.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah. So they mix a little bit.
Bill Clinton Trump accent. Anyway. Yeah. I'll leave the accent out. He's like, congratulations. He goes, "Congratulations,
When
Wesley."
you called me and told me about it, you were spot on. Congratulations. Is this Wesley?
He goes, "Congratulations on your win." And I said, "Thank you, Mr. President. Really appreciate you taking time to call me. Yeah. You don't have to do that. I mean, come on. Like, you don't have to make this fun." I was like, "Congratulations. You're a great guy. I know you're a great guy." And then he says this. did you hear what I did? I said, what'd you do, sir? He said, I went 20 for 20. Everybody I endorsed won. Okay, so at this point, I'm dying laughing, right? Like,
Trying to hold it
I had
together.
to beat my own because I was like, this is so great. President
what I
Trump
did?
is calling me, and then he's like,
He's ragging you at 20 for 20.
Did you hear what I did?
See that drive? That was 300 yards.
Then he goes, he goes, Wesley, I knew you were a winner. You're a winner, just like me. So I'm just like that. At this point, I'm like, this is the greatest conversation ever.
Like, is this Alec Baldwin
This
from
is
Saturday Night Live?
no. This is classic. And then here's what happens. He then asked about the family, asked how I was doing, he literally just he just started talking. Talking about the good things and about the party and how he could be helpful and this, that, and the third. And like I said, I don't care how you feel about it. I'm like, this was a moment to where I'm like, I am talking to the president of the free world, and he's asking about my family and how we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty neat.
It's special.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It's a phone call. It lasted 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The message here is this. Make the phone call.
Yeah.
Even if it's 10 or 15 minutes. You don't know whose life you might influence. And no, you don't have to be the president of the United States.
And you never stand to lose anything by making the call.
No.
By reaching out.
That's all.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free. All it costs is time.
It's a free call.
Yeah.
So, well, take us out.
All right. And remember, smiles are contagious, so make someone's day.
God bless you.